So, welcome guys to Mount Blue Prep. Mount Blue Prep is the preparatory track for Mount Blue, a training company. We are in the Introduction to JavaScript series. So, this is an introductory session to arrays. So, we will discuss array utility methods and then try to use them in a few questions. For those of you who are here for the first time, I'm going to paste a few links in the chat in case you want to join Mount Blue Prep and you need more information about Mount Blue. So I'm using something called the browser console for demoing this concept. So let's get started. So let me create an array. Some of you might be familiar with arrays from other uh, places, other programming languages. So let me create an array called fruits and I assign a few strings to this array. Okay, so now if I just write fruits, you can see there are 4 elements being shown here: oranges, apples, pomegranates, bananas, right? This is somewhere familiar. Yesterday we talked about objects. So this is index. The index is actually the key and this is the value. So this is the keys. These are the keys and these are the values. So this is only in JavaScript. In JavaScript, array is actually an object. Array is an object. It inherits from object, so it inherits all helper methods that an object has. In addition, it has other helper methods as well. Okay, we will take a look into those. So if I say this is a object, so I can access like this. Sorry, or not orange is 0. I can put the key here and I will get the value. Now, this will not work. Fruits.1 or fruits.0 will not work because even though it's an object, we have not assigned any key values here. So there is some restrictions. So this is a special type of object. So the object utility methods like not length is an array utility method. Let's say has one property. Will work. But if I put anything from 0, 1 to 3, it will show true. Similarly, if I do object dot values and pass fruits, it returns me the same array. If instead I do object dot keys, it returns me 0, 1, 2, 3. So the most of the object utility methods are available to the array as well. Okay. Now, in addition to this, array has some other methods that are available to it. For example, length. Then I have This includes method to check whether a value exists or not. For example, let me check apples, true. But if I put some fruit that does not exist here, like what, like let's say grapes. So grapes is showing false, right? So I can check if an element exists in an array by using this includes thing. I can iterate over all the elements in the array by using, so there are three different ways to do for loops in JavaScript on arrays. One is for each, which takes a callback function. So by using for each, I can iterate over all the elements in an array. Then I also have this called for of. So for of only takes the value. It does not take the index. If you also need the index, you can do for in. Foreign work, foreign is the object, the way you iterate over objects. So I can do console.log index fruits index. Okay, so take a look at all these three different for loops. The first one was for each, which takes a function. So something called a callback function. A callback function is a function which is passed as a parameter and it gets triggered only when the outer function is called. If the outer function is called, only then the callback function is triggered. So for each takes a function. This is its syntax. For of, the syntax is a little bit different. We initialize a variable and then it automatically iterates over all the elements in the array. Index is similar. The only difference is in index we get this 0, 1, 2, 3, and then we have to derive the value from the index. In of for of syntax, we directly get the value. So just to summarize this, I will write things here. For each takes a function and the value is the first argument. Value is the first parameter. Index is the second parameter in that callback function. For of, you can use for of and you can directly get the value. You can use for in and you can get the index. Once you get the index, you can get the value from the index. So these are three different ways of running a for loop on an array. Generally speaking, I use this mostly. Like I can directly get the value and do something with the value. But yeah, but I, depending on my mood, I also use this sometimes. For in, I generally use for objects. This is an object. This basically in object, you don't have the values. You just get the key and then you get the value from there. So this I used mostly in the objects. Okay. So for loop clear. You guys, when you solve problems, you will get familiar with the syntax. It's not very tricky. You just need to more practice. Like I was confused with this for each thing initially. Uh, so I was used to be confused with this for each thing initially, but as I practiced, this became clear. This is how for each works. Okay, awesome. So let me go ahead to some array utility methods. So we have a lot of other utility methods like every, fill, filter, find, join, map, push, pop, reduce. Lot of array utility methods. So for example, I can do push grapes here. And now if I look at fruits, okay, no change happened. What mistake I am making, guys? I printed fruits, things were fine. I pushed grapes onto it, undefined, nothing happened. Now it might be the case that push is does not mutate the array, which is fine. Shubhadeep is saying let, okay, but didn't I use let here? I use let. This is a variable. Okay, so right now it's undefined. So let me define something else. Let's say numbers equal to 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. And let's try to do numbers push. Ah, so in push I was making a syntax issue. I shouldn't have put square brackets there. If I had put, like, I will show you now. So if I do fruits dot push apples, okay, so I can push elements onto an array. I can also pop elements, which is remove elements from the last position in the array. I don't need to specify an index. It will automatically pop the last element and it numbers array reduces. So guys, I am pushing elements onto the array and I can pop it. Any data structure that comes to mind that can be implemented using arrays in JavaScript? Yeah. So stack is the data structure. If you guys are familiar with it, you have studied it in college. So there is a data structure called stack, and you can use the array push pop methods and basically get a stack in JavaScript. So just to show you what a stack is. So stack is a data structure. Somewhat like this. And I can put elements onto the stack. And so this operation is called push operation, where I'm pushing elements onto the stack. There is another operation called pop operation. So how stack works is on a concept called last in, first out, which is LIFO. So the last element that comes onto the stack will be popped out first. So now if I start stack.pop, first I will remove 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, and ultimately 1, and the stack is empty. Okay. So in JavaScript, you can use array to get the stack. You don't have to use another data structure. Okay. Okay. So this was array. Similarly, there is a data structure called queue. Okay, in queue, what happens? Let's say I add the elements here. The numbers are all over the place. Ah, okay. So in queue also we push elements onto the queue. So the push, but when we dequeue, we remove the first element. Like here it's 1, so we remove the first element. What is the array utility method to remove the first element of the array? No, pop will remove the last element of the array. You have to remove the first element of the array. Is it shift or is it unshift? Yeah, we have so many answers, guys. So many answers. Somebody's saying shift, somebody's saying unshift. Yeah, so the answer is shift. So if we shift, then the first element of the array is out. So this is how we can implement like queue in JavaScript. So this is first in, first out. FIFO. This was stack. Okay. So in JavaScript, I don't need separate data structures. I can use the array utility methods to get both stack and queue. Now my question is, where do you think we can use stack? In what kind of question we can use stack? Mm, not really. Like, why should we use stack is like not to change size of array or when all data elements are of same type. I don't think it has to be, it has anything to do with those things. So we use stack when the situation demands it. When, for example, let's say I'm designing a text editor and I want to give this control Z operation, right? So undo, redo, operations in a text editor. I will probably use a stack for that. If I have to match parentheses, like I am designing a compiler and I have to match parentheses uh, of my input code. Otherwise, I have to throw an error. I will use a stack. Stack is also used in recursion by the compiler. When it implements recursion behind the hood, it uses stack, right? So a lot of different uses. Uh, queue is also used in many different places. Guys, WhatsApp is a queue. When you post a message on WhatsApp with a timestamp, it is hold in queue till it's delivered. It is special kind of queue. It's a message queue. Okay. The whole WhatsApp is message queue. WhatsApp is written in this language called Erlang, uh, a language specially designed for concurrency, very old language. So what other places we can use a queue? Where we have a bunch of tasks that have to be done, in order. Yeah, operating system might be using queues in some places. Okay. So yes, a lot of different uses for stacks and queues. So I will go back to my sharing thing again. So numbers 2, 3, I can shift. Basically, I deleted the first element from the array. I can pop, and now I'm down to only 3 and 4. I can add more elements into the array by using, let's say, 5, 6. Okay. So now numbers are like 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let me demonstrate some methods like which work on all the elements on the array. Basically, if I do, let's say, numbers dot map. So this requires a callback function. I pass in a callback function. And I can return. So what map does is it iterates. It's like a for loop. It iterates on all the values in the array and then returns whatever operation that I do inside them. I can also write this callback function as an anonymous function. I save a little bit of syntax, just the parenthesis and the return value. So if your function is very simple, you can possibly also write it in this arrow syntax. This is called an arrow function. So I can also check, let's say, instead of map, I can filter out and check for whether something is a multiple of 2 or not. So if it is a multiple of 2, it will return true, otherwise false. So it returned true only for 4 and 6. Okay. I can also do reduce here. So which takes a callback function accumulator, comma, value. It returns, let's say, accumulator plus value. So I added 3, 4, 5, 6, and it became 18. So this reduce takes a callback function. That callback function has a specific syntax. Now, where to go and check this syntax out, where to learn all this syntax from. So the official documentation of JavaScript is MDN. So I will search for MDN array, let's say map. So Mozilla Developer Network, I open array.map. So this is multiplication by 2. Every element that is there is multiplied by 2, right? So I can see the syntax of map. I can see the syntax of, let's say I want to check the syntax of reduce. I can open the page for reduce, accumulator, current value. So we can see reduce has two compulsory parameters that it takes. There are also like, sorry, two compulsory arguments that it takes, accumulator and current value. And there are two optional arguments as well. Okay. So like use them when you need them, but otherwise you don't need to worry too much about it. So accumulator, current value, index or array, index and initial value. So you can set the initial value. Sometimes this setting the initial value is a little bit useful when I am doing some operations. So if you need it, then only you worry about it, or else don't bother about it right now. But these two variables are important, accumulator and the current value. This helps, this reduce method. So we covered map, filter, reduce. So there are a lot of methods, guys. As we use, we will get familiar with them. Maybe I will demonstrate concat, reverse, and sort. Maybe slice as well. Okay, so let's do that. So I can concatenate two arrays. So concatenation. So there are some of these methods are immutable. Some of these methods are some of these methods don't mutate data. Some of these methods mutate data. So you have to be careful with that. For example, when I did concat, it did not mutate data. So push mutates data, pop mutates data, shift mutates data, concat does not. So if I'm using concat, I have to do this. Now numbers is a 6-element array, right? Other than that, we have the reverse function, just reverses the order, and this mutates the function. So I reversed it again. Now it's back to its original position. Another function is sort. Now there are all kinds of problems with sort. Let me demonstrate some of those problems. If I do push 30 and I display numbers, it's showing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 30. But if I sort it, what would you expect? Would you expect this? No, right? Like in general, when you do sort, you will expect it to work perfectly. But it's not working perfectly. So what do we do now? So in JavaScript, the sorting happens in lexicographical order. In most languages, it works in lexicographical order, which causes all kinds of problems. So when I say lexicographical order or lexical order, it sorts by characters, basically by A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we sorted here, our whole thing, It got sorted by 3. 3 was the first character. And this is not what we want actually. We want our sort to sort by numbers. Now the good thing is this sort thing also takes a callback function, and we can specify a callback function here. So if a minus b is positive, it returns true, or else it will return false. If it returns true, then no problem. If it returns false, then it swaps the position of the two. So if I do this, now the numbers is sorted properly. Okay. So these are some helper methods. There are others. The way I recommend is download a cheat sheet on your computer or keep the documentation open. Be familiar with them. The more you are familiar with the helper methods, the easier life is. The easier life gets when you are doing programming. I will stop this array demo here and try to solve one or two simple questions. I have some question in the chat. Ankit is asking what is the accumulator. I hope you are asking this in context of reduce. Accumulator is a temporary variable which gets updated. So for example, let me, right? So when I do did reduce, it gives me the answer 63. Let's say I have to run a for loop on this thing and get the same result. So I will do what? Like let sum equal to 0, right? And then I will run a for loop for let value of, not value, let me call it let number of numbers sum plus equal to numbers. Really? Okay, I made a mistake. I concatenated the entire array. Wait, let me go back. Instead of numbers, I will just do number. Okay, now it will be correct. Okay, is this clear? So if I do sum plus equal to number, so what happens? Sum is the accumulator here. Now the accumulator need not return just a number. We just saw it can return a string, it can return an object, it can return anything. You can initialize it as an empty object or an element or a empty string, and then you can continue doing operations on it, and then the accumulator is returned. So the reduce function is just a shortcut for this. Okay. All right. So enough of demoing. Let's solve some problems. And okay, I might have this open in Chrome. Let me check. Yeah, I have it open in Chrome. Okay. So we go to Adabit and we will just search for the problem here. We will solve the problem in Preplet. So I go to challenges. I get it easy, and instead of objects, I will pick arrays. Okay, this looks like a straightforward problem. So guys, read this problem, write the pseudocode in the chat, and then we will try to solve it. Guys, just write the logic part in the chat. You don't need to get the exact code, just write the logic. Okay, so people are suggesting different approaches. One approach is we iterate the index by 2. That's a valid approach. Other approach is we run a plain for loop and put an if condition of checking whether the index is divisible by 2 or not. That's another way to do it. And we take the sum, and in the end we multiply the result by the last element of the array. Okay, so let's try to do this problem. We'll copy paste the test cases, go here. So we have some test cases. If the test case passed, it returns true, or else it returns false. Okay, so I will write the function here. It takes an array, and for right now let me return false or something stupid so that it fails. So all test cases are returning false right now because we are not returning the correct value. Now let's try to write this for loop. Okay, so what we can do is we can run for each. Let me try to solve it using for each. So we know for each takes a callback function. The first element is value, the second one is index. The first argument is value, the second one is index. Now, if index is divisible by 2, I have to sum the value, right? So I will take let result equal to 0. All right, so whenever it's divisible by 2, it will take the result. For the last element of the array, I can do result. I have to multiply it by the last element of the array, right? So array dot length minus 1. That's how I will get the last element of the array. I can return result. Let me print the result here. Actually, yeah. So still one of the test cases is not passing correctly. It is showing not a number. This is because the array is empty. So this is one of the edge cases. So if the array is empty, then iteration won't happen. So we can check for that. We can put a check if array dot length is equal to 0. We return 0 or return the result. The result is already 0. All test cases are passing. True, true, true. So this console log didn't happen, so it's not showing up. All right, now everything is showing up. Okay, so I use the for each function in the array. It's up to you really. Like you can also do it by your traditional for loop here. Like you can do for let I equal to 0, I less than array dot length, I plus equal to 2, because we only want to take the even indexes, and I can do result plus equal to value. Sorry. So value is not defined. I have to call it array I. All test cases passing. So there are multiple ways to solve this problem, to approach this problem. You can use a function for array available in JavaScript like for each, for of, for in. You can also just do it directly, like using your old style for loop. Everything is correct. Okay, so let's take up one more problem and then we will end this day today. So in this function, in this problem, we took a look at for loops. Let's see whether we can get another problem, some other kind. Let's turn up the notch a little bit, maybe medium. Let's take the first one because we can solve it by multiple ways. Okay, guys, what's the logic for the first question? Guys, logic? It's pretty straightforward. Correct. So create a counter. If it is true, then increment the counter, else do nothing, right? So we will try to solve this problem in multiple ways. Like one approach to solve it is just using a for loop, any kind of for loop. Another approach is probably we can use an array utility method called filter. We can use that to reduce the size of the array, but then again we have to do dot length. If we use filter, then it returns an array that corresponds to true. We can also do reduce. We can use the accumulator, and then based on the condition we can reduce it. So we have three different ways that I can think of. I'm sure there are other ways to solve this simple problem. Let's try out all these three ways. Okay. So I will I'm backing up this solution. Okay. Now let's solve this. So I will take the test cases. Format this a bit to make it into code. So all test cases have been created. This takes an array. And let's say for now it returns undefined. So all my test cases are returning false uh, because I'm expecting 2, 0 and 0 and it's returning false, right? So let's do this. Let's initialize my result as 0 and we will return the result. If array dot length is equal to 0, we can return the result here itself. We don't need to do the execution. So one of the test cases will pass, I guess. Two are passing. Two are passing because the second one, the answer is 0, but actually we do have to write the code. So we can do a for of like for uh, element of array if I made a mistake in the syntax. This should be for and this should be let. So I'm creating a let. Okay. So if element true, if the element is true, then we do result plus equal to 1. So all our test cases pass. So simple problem, like we can do it using a for loop and an if condition within. Now this is just option 1. Okay, which is for loop. I can option 2, which is using filter and then length. Okay. How does filter work? Filter takes a callback function. So I can do array equal to let filtered array equal to array dot filter, and then if the element is x, then I can check whether x is true or not. Actually, we don't need to check because we are getting Boolean. We can just check for the x will itself sort itself out. And then we result equal to filtered array dot length. So I will comment out this whole part. Let's run this code. Works. So what did I do here? I filtered the array. Filter only works when the calculation is true. Here we don't need to do the calculation because we are just checking for true. The elements are themselves true or false. This is the second option. A little bit less code. Let's look at the third option using reduce. Keep in mind that the reduce, we have already initialized result as 0. So we can use the result as the accumulator itself. Like, yeah, we can just assign result the whatever reduce operation, we can assign it to the result. So result equal to array dot reduce. It takes a callback function with two parameters, accumulator comma current value. So if current value is true, then accumulator plus plus. That's it. If the current value is true, then the accumulator will get increased by 1. Okay. If I have to use if, then I had to use this full syntax. Give me a second. So yeah, so I pass the callback function here. If current is true, then do accumulator plus plus. Yeah, surprisingly, it's giving me false, false, true. Why is that? It's not working. So let's print out the results. Undefined, undefined, true. Undefined array dot reduce function accumulator, comma. So I'm trying to debug this. Uh, uh, okay, the accumulator is not getting assigned properly. Instead of this accumulator, we can assign an initial value to the accumulator. Will this work? Same results. So let's go and look at the syntax of this reduce function. There is a way to assign the initial value there. So we will reassign the initial value properly and then it should work. So I'm opening the reduce documentation. Accumulator, current value, current index, source array. Okay, this is passed in the end of the reduce function. Like after the callback function has ended, it is passed as an argument to reduce itself. So what it means is, so instead of, so this is all accumulator. And we will assign the accumulator to 0 here. Still the accumulator is going undefined. Because I'm not returning the accumulator explicitly in the callback function. Yes, all test cases are true. So the mistake that I was making is inside the callback function, I should return something. So I can skip the return if it was an arrow function, but if I'm writing the full function, I have to return it explicitly, or else it was giving me undefined. Also, another trick was to add the initial value as 0 here for the accumulator. So this is another way of doing this problem. I don't know if it is clear. If it is not clear, please practice the reduce utility method. Go to the Mozilla developer network, read it properly, practice it a few times before you get comfortable with reduce. So this map, filter, reduce, every, each, all of these are very, very useful methods to do array operations. So Dipanshu is saying schedule one class for regular expression. Yeah, on my list, Dipanshu. I will do one class for regular expression. But we are covering arrays, strings, and hash maps and doing problems on them because most of the problems you can solve if you have these three concepts properly. Okay. So that's it for today's guys regarding problems. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm going to stop the recording now.